You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And my name is Rob, and this is episode number 495. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. We appreciate it very much.
We do appreciate it, and we also appreciate the continued support from our friends at videoblocks.com/drone. Listen to that carefully. It's a little bit different from last time. Videoblocks.com/drone, where you can get a 7-day free trial to their subscription-based, copyright-free video and audio site. It's, again, subscription-based, so hundreds of thousands of clips. You get 7 days of free access to all of those clips to download them if you're making videos, commercial productions, maybe just Facebook videos, social media stuff. They have got so many clips to choose from, in addition to copyright-free music, some waveforms, and also some motion graphic templates for you guys who work in motion. Anyway, check it out, videoblocks.com/drone. And guys, it has been a crazy week. I am a very tired human being. We've driven a long way from CES 2017.
We kind of took a little side trip.
I did take
We went the other way from back home.
Well, Rob,
I don't blame you.
We were living in a millennial nightmare. Do you know why I call it a millennial nightmare?
Why is that?
I call it a millennial nightmare because we were staying in an Airbnb in Henderson, kind of near Cactus and Radcliffe area, if you're looking at Airbnb houses. And it had no Wi-Fi.
Which I've never heard of.
Me neither. Me neither. The neighbors wouldn't let us use the Wi-Fi.
Which I have heard of.
Yeah, it's shocking how afraid people are of the world. And on top of that, there was no flatware, there was, no cooking utensils. We had to go out and buy all that stuff. And
Really?
yeah, and it was a 4-bedroom house with a trash can the size of a tissue box.
They hadn't quite thought of everything, had they?
No, they didn't even have instructions, and they had to physically meet you there, which most Airbnbs, they have like a keypad, and you just type in the keypad, you get in, you're good to go, which is awesome. So we did take a side trip. We went from CES after we met with the big industry heads, and we're going to do another show on CES and really just kind of focus on some things that I've learned on the regulatory side. It's just really interesting. I had a conversation with Brendan Schulman. I'm hoping he will come on the show. He had talked to or was having a meeting with Huerta of the FAA, where he actually showed them, I have confirmation of this, he showed him the article we wrote on Medium about order JO 7200.23 and the issues it is causing in getting airspace approvals.
I think struck a chord with that article.
Yeah, in fact, people are still reading it to this day. In fact, I just looked at the stats and there's a hefty number of reads, which is good.
Yeah, because it outlines a real problem. It needs
does.
to be fixed.
Yes,
For
it
sure.
really does. Now, whether that problem will be fixed, we will find out. But today we're going to talk about what we learn on the consumer side, prosumer side of drones at the show. We'll talk about regulatory stuff later. And first things first, we had to hit the drone rodeo, which you're going to see some of the footage right here. And really, John McBride from Rocky Mountain Unmanned Systems, also a Drone U instructor, really holding down the fort, flying the Agris 1, that huge drone you guys see right there. And it's a crop spraying drone, but it's, one of the first of its kind. It's massive. You should have saw the 12S battery it had. It was like, the size of a few laptops stacked on top of each other.
That's a serious payload.
It really was. And he was spraying water. It was just, it was awesome. So there was just a lot going on in him showing industrial applications. The drone rodeo overall, pretty small, not that big of a deal this year. The drone port was interesting because a lot of people who talk to me know I'm working on something right now or have been working on something about building a drone park here for Drone U, which is many years down the line, but will happen.
Hopefully not too many.
I'm hoping it's not more than
but you're right. It's
one
not,
or two at this point.
In the next couple, probably.
It won't be 2017, but
For sure.
we will be making progress on how we're going to build that in 2017.
But basically, Droneport is just a big open area right now, right?
It is a big open area. Yeah.
Which, is cool.
Which is actually very ironic because when you go in, there is a picture of the Droneport sign, and right next to, like, not even next on the sign, it says no drones allowed, that you need like a special permit to fly, and FAA, no drones allowed, special permit needed. But it's like, so
where do you get the permits?
There was no information about that. I'm guessing you would probably talk to the Droneport people and get it from there. But yeah, I mean, it was a big space. They've got huge plans for this area. Question is, will they take off? There's our first drone pun of the show.
And last.
But really, I mean, they had a couple poles which didn't make sense to me. They were metal poles that had nets where you could fly drones around, but I don't understand having metal poles. That didn't quite make sense to me. And in fact, they didn't even use the netting or the poles in any of the parts of the drone rodeo. But it was cool to see, the new stuff they had out there. And actually, I got to fly the Inspire 2 for the first time at the drone rodeo. And I got to tell you, it's very different from what I expected. It doesn't fly the same at all. It has sport mode now. The way it feels and the way it flies is very different. To give you an example, if I were to do like a droney, right, a reverse pull-out shot, and I'd like, it's funny because people do dronies differently. I like to try to make them as the most complex and beautiful, smooth motion without any effect. Well, with the Inspire 2, if you're pulling back and elevating and trying to pitch back and elevate at the same rate, it won't do it. It puts a priority of pitch and roll and yaw over elevation. So even if I push both sticks forward at the same amount, I will have a priority of the lateral movement over elevation.
So what you have to do is sort of adjust your flight strategies, if you will, and the way you manipulate the sticks.
Totally gonna have to adjust that.
Yeah.
So if you are planning on getting a P4P and Inspire 2, there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve with it to get your skills right back up to par. Not very much, but a little bit. Also, the Inspire 2 with sport mode, it really moves around. I mean, this thing was flying really fast. I think
faster than what you think the one will do?
I'm pretty sure I got it up to 80 miles an hour when we were out there.
Dang.
Looking down at the screen. I remember seeing the 8.0. I didn't see if it went any higher than that. So, but there was a tailwind.
That's pretty cool.
But I got it to roll that fast. So, I know I'm not the only one too. That being said, it also, if you notice, all DJI drones, they snap back to level, right? So you're flying, and as soon as you let off the stick, whether attitude, GPS, it's going to snap back to a level position, right? Well, with the Inspire 2, that snap is a little bit more aggressive. So that was kind of affecting the way it was flying.
Whoa!
Yeah,
what's going on here?
No, it was very different, and it's really hard for me to explain how different it was. And I'm looking forward to flying it more and really getting more acquainted with it. But I think it really goes to show too on people who are doing these review videos, even for the Mavic Pro, that you really have to spend some time with these vehicles and learn the intricacies of them to really fully understand how different they are instead of just hyping it. Because the Mavic 4 Pro, I'm learning, has a transmitter and the most efficient battery pack ever. Anyway, I talked to Trent Sigurd for a while from Unique, and we were talking about the different and new Unique products that were coming out.
But not much that was here at CES, just what's coming out later.
Well, a combination of those two. In fact, that was a hard kind of switch track. I probably should have led into it a little bit better. I almost said something I shouldn't have. But that being said, with Unique, they had this new concept, which was a drone that looked like a Frisbee, and it would watch over your property if there was like a burglary or something. It was really cool.
As in it like sits on your roof and takes up?
Yeah. And it's a concept. It's really cool. But they also had the Unique Breeze out there, which is another, kind of small micro drone, really cool.
Like Mavic competitor kind of, or even smaller than that?
It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit smaller, and it's definitely a Mavic competitor. A lot of people have been praising about the Breeze, that it's a good intermediary drone from just starting out to going pro, which I think is a great thing to look at. But what I'm really excited about with Unique is they took the Typhoon H and they listened to people. They listened to what people were saying. They put a more aggressive pitch prop. They made the frame bigger, and put more torquey, larger motors on the bird. So really kind of changed the aspect of it. And they're calling it the more prosumer grade Typhoon H, and I'm really excited to take that thing for a spin.
Well, the thing is I would think there's room for somebody to step up and be a solid competitor to DJI, because nobody has really done that well, and so maybe it's time for Unique to do that, and that's what sounds like might be happening.
That's exactly what's happening. Yes.
There's room in there.
But here's the thing that no one is talking about that I've seen report on drones, report on CES or anything, and it's a company called AeroSense, and it was actually at the Sony booth because Sony acquired this joint venture group called AeroSense. Why is it such a big deal? It is the first drone with artificial intelligence.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean, practically speaking, for somebody with this particular drone?
Before all the Americans freak out, they're already using this in Japan.
That's not going to make them feel better.
No, I know. No, I know. And it does something very similar to like what I was talking about, the concept with the Unique, which is it surveils a home. Mm-hmm. If the home is broken into or the business is broken into, it's then going to follow the car. Okay. That's the artificial intelligence aspect of it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so don't break the law in Japan or else you are screwed.
Wow.
So
I tell you, I don't know. We are moving closer and closer to Minority Report, I'm telling you.
I don't think we'll ever see that day and age in America, but you may see that in Japan and China very soon. Very soon. Anyway, so okay, we've talked about Rocky Mountain Unmanned Systems, John McBride. I saw the Drone Nerds guys over at DJI, which was cool. Had a long conversation with Brendan Schulman about the state of legal affairs with drones. We will talk about that in a whole nother show. That's a whole nother topic in itself. But really, CES this year, there really wasn't that much that was new.
Well, let's try to find something that was new. And so it sounds like obviously in the drones there wasn't really anything that's new, but it sounds like maybe in the camera world there might be a couple of things that's people might be interested in.
Well, some people have been talking about DJI buying out, totally buying out Hasselblad, which is a huge, 100 megapixel sensor kind of, camera. There are, a lot of new cameras that are out there, but we're seeing kind of move and a change to more VR and AR related things, kind of in the camera world. And it's, interesting to see where that is going to develop into. Definitely not there yet. I don't know how long it'll take. But when it comes to drones, I really feel like this CES was kind of like CES 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Not that many new things. We're just kind of developing. And then, mid-year, we're going to see this huge push of new stuff. And CES showed us a couple things. A lot of the knockoff drone makers are gone. A lot of them are. There are some other drone makers, though, that are trying to make waves in unique areas. And let me give you the Unique example, literally Unique, Yuneec.
Thank you.
Unique is trying to move into more industrial kind of applications. They're trying to really have this niche. They're trying to really, and they said it, you can't out DJI. You have got to do something unique and better that speaks to a certain group. And I love that. So I really do think that Unique is on top of that. But Autel, which I've never been a fan of, they have a vertical takeoff and landing drone now that looks to be could be potentially promising. We will see. There was one group, I think it was the Pro Drone Bird. They're now called GDU. They were there. I got to see Copter Bill. That's the guy who flies hexacopters off his kayak. Very cool dude.
Copter Bill.
Copter Bill.
How can you go wrong with Copter Bill?
When your name is Copter Bill on Facebook, you know you're badass.
You're just winning.
But it was cool to see him. I saw Bo from California. I hopefully want, Bo to actually do some content for us. We're really trying to bring more content creators into Drone U as we are ramping up in 2017 and expanding.
So I have a question.
Yes.
With regards to VR.
Yes.
Is that, as you really think about it, and you're a thinker, is that something that is going to really sort of take over what people are using to capture video? Or do you think it's more of a gimmick?
I honestly don't know.
I know you
Rob.
don't know. I know you don't know. None of us know. But what do you think? Because from my perspective, I'm thinking that creates a whole nother reality potentially. And I kind of like our reality that current video does a good job of portraying in unique ways. So that's why I asked that question.
I think where good video fails and 360 wins is in authenticity, because so many people are being shown only what the videographer wants to show them.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
True.
That being said, with 360, if you are walking around with the 360 camera, you can see everything. It's a more authentic experience. It's a more wholesome experience. And I feel that there's a more innate level of trust there. So I could see where it could take off. Mm-hmm. Second drone pun. That being said, will it? I think we're just short of the hold line right now. That's our third drone pun for today.
And there's a big difference between takeoff and takeover. So it could take off but not take over. And that's really what I see happening. There's still really cool stuff that you can do with more traditional video that I think people respond to.
Yeah, and I still think we're so early in that still. A lot of people who've been in the drone industry for, even as long as I have said, we still haven't seen anywhere near the evolution that is still yet to come.
True.
So CES 2017, it was awesome. It was awesome to see good people. This conference was definitely more about the people than it was the products. It's really interesting, though, that no one's talking about AeroSense from Sony. Sony's coming out with some new really cool sensors and cameras that we are excited about here at Drone U. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are, DJI had and I just have to say this, people are like, well, there's no new product at DJI. DJI had the new Osmo Silver. And I was actually...
Is that just where you use your device?
Use your phone. And I was talking to Eric Chang, and Eric Chang used to be the face of DJI, used to be marketing for DJI, and now he works at Facebook. And, he was saying, because I told him, I said, I don't really understand the point of the Osmo Mobile. Like, I like the fact that, with my phone, I can control the camera and move it around. I really don't get the Osmo Mobile. And he flipped my thinking with 2 words or 3 words, or maybe a couple more than 3 words. But the words were...
A few words.
Think about it with live. Think about it with Facebook Live. What's the problem with live, right? And I think about the Facebook Live I did with John Lee Dumas. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
But where DJI will succeed and others will fail is the bus speed and the ability for the phone to transmit over Wi-Fi and over cellular data to not only control the drone, but also put the image up.
Yeah, well, I hear you and I hear him, and I think the more that I think about it, when you're using the Osmo, you've got the camera and your phone, so you've really got 2 things that you're dealing with.
Yeah, but with the Osmo Mobile, it's all one now.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I think I like that. I like that because you're always going to have your phone with you.
Yeah, but you're always going to have an Apple phone that you're limited to 64 gigs or 30 gigs or, it's 32, but you know what I mean.
I'm not.
I know.
Paul. You're going to be buying an Android?
No, I won't.
Okay.
Nope. I like security and exclusive access.
You're fooling yourself if you think that we're all secure.
Actually, there was a Department of Defense report and then on WikiLeaks that the only truly encrypted data on any phone is through iMessage. So that's the only thing they couldn't break. So you know what? I will take my Apple all day long.
So that means Paul will no longer be texting Rob.
Yeah, if it shows up on your phone, they're probably listening. I know they're listening. Huerta read my article. I'm sure he's like, this kid has no idea the problems we face. And I gotta say, some people are probably wondering too, like, Paul, did you watch the media or the PR release from Huerta? That was the FAA. The FAA came to CES. We were actually going to go to that talk, and I was like, you know what? In past few years, every single time I've seen a PR release or a media event from the FAA, it's just jargon, BS, high hopes, little action. Same thing this time. Huerta has a really good speechwriter. This was Hillary Clinton switch tracking left and right. It was very, very well done in avoiding answering anything. That being said, they realize that there are issues. They want to work on those issues. I like that. Here's what I'm happy about with the FAA and Huerta. They're listening. Yeah. They're willing to make changes. And we have to focus on that.
It takes time and money and political buy-in and all those elements kind of coming together in the right way. So it's going to take some time.
It is. And again, we'll have a whole nother show with Brendan Schulman, hopefully, talking about some of these issues and other issues. But what I heard in very short summary from this reaction of my article was that air traffic control is very short-staffed, and that's not a good solution. There's got to be that autonomous
most people understand that
solution, Well, I realized that because this weekend we were out in Newport Beach, and there's one section of Newport Beach that's outside of any airspace, and I have it marked in my maps, like go here to fly, even though there's people all over the area that fly all over and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I called the tower. I called John Wayne Airport, and I said, I'm outside of your airspace, but we had actually heard a large boom. Like it sounded like a bomb had gone off. And then we saw black smoke, like, literally a boat had caught fire or a bomb had gone off 3.5 miles out, and no one answered at the tower. I called again. No answer. I called a third time, no answer. So it was definitely a very real life experience that ATC is short staffed.
Absolutely.
But here in the quiet, wild, wild West, it doesn't seem to be an issue. So it definitely brought to my mind that ATC may not be the solution, but we've got to figure some solution out because more and more drone operators are operating illegally. Whether it's illegal or not, is the question.
And I'm sure there was just more talk of that at CES as well as it relates to the kind of the drone pilot talk there. People kind of just admit that that's happening.
Yeah, totally.
So
it is admitted by many other people. People have said I've lost jobs. Other people have taken those jobs. I've heard operators say, I called the tower and I treated it like a hobby experience and I got it done anyway, and it's like, one thing I really strive for at Drone U is that we are a community based on safety, and it's safety first. And I think of the story from the book Contagious about Alcoa and how the CEO of Alcoa put everyone's safety first. Every meeting, every PR thing was safety. That was the first thing he talked about. Even if they were launching a new product, he talked about the safety of the environment they were working in. And that fostered a community that has brought that company massive success and also more output from the workers because the workers felt like
they were cared for.
Exactly.
Sure.
Thus, they cared for the company.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that's kind of how and I feel and how we've built Drone U is the same thing. Like we've got to be a community and pilots that operate on safety and responsibility. And we can still do that, but we have got to fight to have that be the standard. And I think we're still in the midst of that. And I think that we're still fighting strong. But if I can tell anyone, it's be hopeful and have faith because things will change and they will get better and we will continue to push for a solution. But we're making progress.
Absolutely.
And the big deal, too, is that the FAA is saying they're listening to us.
Yeah.
They're listening to what we're writing. And to me, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Unique listened to their customers. They built a better drone. You got to give them a lot of props for that. And I am. Unique, you did awesome. And Trent, thanks for showing us that thing. Can't wait to fly it. And we will have reviews and now classes on those Unique drones, which is awesome. A lot of people have been asking for that.
They have.
But you have to give those people props that listen because...
And the other lesson is if people are listening, keep talking.
Exactly.
Keep letting them know how you feel.
Don't just spout crap, make sure you're educated.
Right, sure.
And I think that article that we wrote is a great thing to share to your congressman or congresswoman. Let's keep the pressure on them. If they need funding, then we need to pressure our congressmen and women to give them the funding that they need. I have to say it's a sad fact of life in America that if you want something, it's got to be paid for, but at least we have the option to pay for it.
Absolutely.
And it's not a nixed alternative that there is no option. So again, trying to stay positive here. But guys, CES was a learning experience, not only from a regulatory standpoint and learning about the inner workings and whatnot, but it was also everything. It was funny because everything but product was important at this trip.
That's interesting. Each one of these sort of takes on a life of its own.
Yes.
And you gotta just figure out how to get the most out of it, given whatever it's giving you.
No, totally. And, given the most out of it, I can't say which TV network or who it was, but at these events, I get pulled over all the time by people. When I mean pulled over, I mean people literally grab my shoulder physically and like turn me around. I'm a small guy, okay? I'm not a big person. So this one guy turns me around and he's like, "You're Paul Egan." Like, "Oh gosh, Batman, yes." Like
it depends.
What's going on? He's like, "Well, I've listened to you from the very beginning, and you've always been on top of it. And my name is Blank, and I'm with Blank Network, and we want to hire you to be our drone guy for all of our shows. Just go in, take care of these shots, and go to the next one. Go in, take care of these shots, go to the next one." They've already followed up. It's already in the works. It's already happening. This would be my biggest drone job I've ever had in my life. And it was all because this guy ran into me at CES. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, when people ask, are going to these shows, are they valuable? Absolutely. Are they valuable to buy a booth? No. Are they valuable to meet people and build relationships? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Because you never know who you're going to meet.
True.
And for me, this could easily be $1 million deal. I mean, and that would be the lowballing. That'd be like super lowballing this deal. And this guy was just so kind and nice. And he was like, I really enjoy your quality and I can't wait to prove to them and impress them more and improve that quality to them and create a lifetime of relationships with them. So that relationship does equate to that number. But for me, the money isn't the important part. It's the fact that these human relationships, this very basic human socialization, can lead to things unprecedented, unpredicted, and completely awesome.
So get out there and make your own way.
That was so motivating, Rob. Get out there.
Get out there.
Yeah.
So, okay, last question. Was there anything sort of non-drone industry related that you saw that you thought was really, really cool?
The Faraday car. So Faraday is now Tesla's competition.
Okay.
Why am I excited about that? Because we never really get anything good in this world unless there are competing forces. Like I learned this in lacrosse. We always wondered why these two brothers who played at Syracuse University were like the best lacrosse players around. And growing up, they always were competitive against each other, always pushing each other. And, people say competition is bad, but competition breeds innovation, and now we're seeing Tesla, saying, hey, we're coming after you and we're going to do it better. So I love that.
Faraday saying that about Tesla.
Faraday is saying that. I love the fact that Sony's getting into drones because we're seeing Sony sensors in every good drone right now. Every single one. So the fact that Sony is getting into drones, it's like, oh, wow.
And obviously they have the capital behind that effort to
times 10.
Put whatever they want to put into it.
Times 10. Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Other things aside from drones, I see anything cool at CES?
Anything that will help the drone pilot, the drone business owner? I don't know.
I did see a case that I want to test. It's for a drone pilot. This wouldn't be a big CES thing, but there was a Chinese manufacturer who had like almost the size of a Osmo case, and it was a battery and an inverter, so you could charge USB or AC if you wanted to. And I would really like that for charging batteries out on the go. I think it was really cool. And it was 150,000 milliamps.
Whoa.
Huge. That battery I just bought you, imagine like
charge a few
30
phones.
of those.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. Walking around. Oh man, any other cool things?
I did see, and I don't know if you ran into this, but the laptop with the screens that folded out. I don't know if that was gimmicky or it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it does look pretty cool.
The reason I say that is for somebody that wants to edit on the road or something. It could be cool for that.
Yeah, that could be cool. The last thing I wanted to mention, I forgot this, is I finally got a chance to see the new GoPro Karma.
Oh, okay.
And I got to try the new GoPro Karma grip. I'm just going to tell you, if you own an Osmo, you are a very smart person. GoPro, I could see GoPro, having this gimbal out and it being really good for people who are avid GoPro fans, but it doesn't compare anywhere in the world to the Osmo. It doesn't. You literally cannot compare these things because the Osmo is 1,000 times more capable than the GoPro Karma Grip. It's hard for me to say that because I'm sponsored by GoPro. But GoPro did send me this backpack called the Seeker backpack. And I think it's actually the coolest camera bag I've ever had in my life. And I'm saying that because there's like waterproof stuff in there. So for someone who shoots water sports, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. You know, but when I pulled out my Osmo to compare the Karma Grip with the Osmo on camera, the GoPro guy got really awkward really fast. And then he tried focusing on the fact that the Karma Grip had a screen and that was his favorite feature. Like trying to focus on the fact that you didn't have to use a phone to use the Karma Grip. But the Karma Grip just has like no functionality. There's no joystick. There's no moving the gimbal around. There's lock the gimbal in place or unlock it in place. And it doesn't have nearly the flexibility and endpoints that the Osmo does. There's no zoom. You know, I really wonder what GoPro is going to do.
No zoom.
Yeah, like the Osmo Plus has 80 millimeters of zoom.
Which, that's the only one I've used, so I can't
and
imagine
it's
without
awesome,
it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, but now here's the thing. The Karma Grip is $299, and the GoPro, I think, was... I think it was like $400. So the Karma Grip and the GoPro cost $100 more than the Osmo Plus. Yeah, it is that quiet.
Oh, because
it is that it is that
crickets,
silent, and it is that
because
awkward.
you have to buy the camera on top of the grip.
Yep.
I gotcha. Okay.
Okay, now here's where you could like one up that, right? You could be like, well, I can buy the Karma drone and the grip and the GoPro for $1,000, and then it's like I got a Phantom and a grip and a GoPro for like the price of a Phantom 4 Pro. Well, dude, I would way rather have a Phantom 4 Pro than any of that stuff because I could just hold my Phantom 4 Pro and use it as an Osmo if I didn't have the money to buy an Osmo.
Right.
You know, it's just all about, like we talked about in the book, are you a member? Are you an owner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess we use client versus owner because we didn't want to use the word member. But anyway, client versus owner. Do you expect someone to solve the problem, or do you remain flexible and find alternatives and do it yourself?
For sure. That's interesting, though. I mean, that's actually some good info.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people still have questions about that Karma thing. And the grip.
Steer clear. Steer clear.
There you have it.
And that is the wrap up on CES 2017. Very excited for NAB this year. I think we'll see a couple more product releases. Again, not too many new drones, not too anything special. You guys know the latest and the greatest already. It was all the ancillary stuff that really came out. And there was a huge push on VR and AR this year, but it was all little technology products that work together with that to make a better experience. But anyway,
cool.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, go to askadroneu.com and upload them. If you're watching via YouTube, just put them in the comments below and I will answer them for you. I'll try and stay on top of it. But if you would like to learn how to fly like a pro, you would like all of our classes for one price, then check out thedroneu.com. And if you're wondering how to turn your toy into a tool and how to turn your passion into a profit, then you need to go to droneubook.com and check out our book, Living the Drone Life. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
My name is Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.